What is up, everybody? It is Guy Smiley here, and in this video we're going to be doing a mock review of this New Republic Medical Frigate that I built for the Space Jam contest. 29. No, not the Space Jam. That was last month, or the month before last month. Man, time is flying. But yeah, it was for the one that happened in the Assemble the Fleet contest. It happened in February. And yeah, so last month, and it turned out very nicely. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and apparently the judges were too, because this was a one-day build. You guys probably saw the mock update I did on it, and I built it all in one day pretty much, and it actually got third place in the contest. So I won a pretty good sized prize for this, and that was really cool. I was really happy to win that prize. Because I kind of set a goal. I set a goal. I wanted to win, and I was like, I have to finish something for this contest. And then it came down to like the last 3 days. You guys know the story if you watched the mock update. It came down to like the last like 3 days, and I had nothing. And then I was like, okay, I just need to abandon the thing that I was going to build, which was this was the ship that I was trying to build previously. It is a inexpungible class battleship from Star Wars, the Old Republic. Not a ship that many people know about, and doesn't even look like it's from Star Wars, really. And I tried to build this, and it didn't really work out at all. I did a little bit of these round things here, and then I quit because I couldn't figure out how to get all the angles and all the rounded shapes in this. To translate into like a micro scale ship. So that's why I have this round thing on the front actually. This round front was actually a byproduct of me trying to build that ship because I had made this and then I had about 3 days left in the month of February and I was like, okay, this is not going to work out. I need to build something that's just from my imagination so that I can build it really fast and not have to worry about making things look like concept art, look like something that actually already exists. So I just recycled this round thing and used it as the front. And it actually turned out really nicely as the front. I think it looks really good. It's kind of like a combination of like if you were to take a Hammerhead Corvette and turn it sideways, and maybe like the front of the Tantive 4, and if you like squashed it and elongated it a little bit, that's kind of what it was inspired by, I guess. I mean, because it does look like it is from Star Wars. But I did get a comment on Flickr saying that it looks like I combined Star Wars and Star Trek, and I do realize that it does look like it's from Star Trek as well. If you guys have seen Star Trek, it just looks for some reason like a Star Trek ship, maybe because of the rounded front combined with like the wings or something. But it does look like it could be from Star Trek as well. But I think it works pretty well for a Star Wars New Republic Medical Frigate. That's just kind of what I called it. I didn't really think it have any name in mind, so I was like, oh, let's just pretend it's from the New Republic, because there hasn't been any ships from that era yet shown. There hasn't been any like concept art released or anything like official for that era. So I figured this could very well be from that time frame, and it kind of matches with the aesthetic of like combining some old ships. Because the middle was actually inspired by the Tantive 4. You know how it has these like little things that come out here. These they're kind of like rectangular little protrusions, and then they got some greebles on the inside in the middle of them. And then the bottom was inspired by a Nebulon B medical frigate, mainly because I saw a picture of it was an assault frigate Mark IV. It was a model of an assault frigate Mark IV. It's a ship from this Star Wars, it's like a Star Wars game where you have factions, and it's like a strategy game. It was a really old game that came out in like from way back from like 2005 or something like that. And that had something like a Nebulon B thing at the bottom where it had a bunch of pods. So I was like, why don't we combine the Nebulon B, the Tantive 4, for these things, and the engines were also inspired by the Tantive 4. As we can see here, we have 6, 7, 8 engines, and there's like 3 on the top and then 2 in the middle, just like the Tantive 4 pretty much has. So that's another area where the Tantive 4 inspired this. And then the Assault Frigate Mark IV inspired the bottom, along with the Nebulon B, because the Nebulon B also has some like multicolored things on the bottom. And the Assault Frigate Mark IV picture that I saw inspired the wings too, because I wanted to have a lot of wings on this, and because like not many like cruisers or anything in Star Wars have wings, So I thought it would be really cool to do something different, and I think that the wings really add a lot to this build. I think that's what made it so cool to look at and so interesting. I was only able to complete 2 of the wings for the contest, and then I went back afterwards and added the 4 wings like I wanted to have, because I did originally want to have these 2 wings coming off the bottom here as well, but I didn't have time to do that because I only had 1 day. I literally was like photographing this at like 10 o'clock on Saturday, the last day of February, so I just barely got it in there, but thankfully I was able to do that. And then I just added these after the fact, and for this mock review, and I'll probably retake the pictures too and repost them on Flickr. But yeah, so that's pretty much the inspiration for this. That's about 4 different ships that I was inspired by for this build. The Hammerhead and the just recycling this thing on the front, the Tantive 4, Assault Frigate Mark 5, Nebulon B. It's just all in there, and maybe even the X-wing too, because it does have that kind of a thing going on with the X-wing wings and such. But yeah, I mean, there's no other features besides that. In terms of the design elements that I used on this build, there were 2 things that I just kind of did without really thinking about it. But now that it's done, I really realized how much they contributed to like the overall look of the build. The first one was kind of the wings. I had a really common kind of feel in this build of having slopes on the back and making everything look like it's going forward, while the front of the wings are actually flat. And it kind of matches up with this bottom thing here. I made it look like it was going forward versus just having it like straight down like the one on the actual Nebulon B. That really kind of contributes to giving the whole ship a look like it's really fast and it's like it's moving forward at a very high rate of speed, which is something that medical frigates can't really do in Star Wars. They're always very slow, very vulnerable. This one kind of looks like it could go really fast and like it could actually hold its own and maybe even in a battle. So that's one of the things. And the other thing was I used a lot of little 1x2 tiles here on the top and on the engines and on the front here to add a lot of texture to the build, which was really cool because I found these on the pick-a-brick wall, and I wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't bought a bunch of them. So that's definitely something to do on the pick-a-brick wall, is just buy a bunch of pieces, even though you don't think you need them right now. You might need them in the future. But it really adds a lot of nice texture here, because they wouldn't use just one big piece of metal for a ship. You know, they would have lots of little panels, and that's what this kind of simulates. And it adds a lot of texture to it without making it like a greebled surface or anything, and it makes it a lot more interesting to look at, I think. And yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. The wings were actually another place that were really fun to do. I haven't done like a wing design like this in a very long time, where it's really complicated and it uses a lot of snot techniques and some slopes there. I added a little splash of dark red on both of the wings on both sides, and I think it really adds like a nice little piece of color to the build. The light gray was actually by necessity because I didn't have enough of these white slopes, so I knew I had to throw in a different color somewhere. So I thought the light gray would look really good, and I added a little black square there for some more detailing. Like they would paint like some kind of designs on the wings to make it to identify it maybe. Or I don't know what a black square would do, but it just looks cool. And yeah, and that uses a little technique where it has there is 1 brick and 2 plates is the same width as the length of a plate, so it's kind of an interesting technique there. I'll put a picture on the screen right now showing kind of a breakdown of the wings. And this build uses 720 pieces, around there, somewhere around there. And because I built it in LDD like I do all of my builds, because I do like to save them. I want them to be preserved digitally forever, pretty much, in case I ever want to rebuild them and display them. But it uses 720 pieces, and you guys can download the LDD file in the description of this video if you want to download it and build it yourself, or if you just want to check out the techniques that I used and get a closer look at it. You can do that down in the description below. And I also made these micro-scale X-wings here because for the contest you also had to have at least 1 fighter or micro-scale bomber to go along with your capital ship. These X-Wings are kind of meant to be a futuristic style, like if the New Republic were to make a new X-Wing design. They're kind of meant to be heavy X-Wings because they have 2 pilots, actually. Room for 2 people. There's a rear gunner position, just like in the First Order TIE Fighter, which kind of inspired this. And I was able to get some really nice guns here with using these skeleton arms. They work great as the guns. I just attached them illegally to the tips of the wings, and the notch on the tips that would actually normally hold the skeleton arm to the body works great as the gun, because it looks really cool to have that very tiny space in between there. And it looks pretty accurate to the actual guns that the X-Wings had in the movies. And I think that is going to be it for this video. So be sure to leave a comment down below with what you guys think of this new style of MOC review. Because I think that my MOC reviews were a little bit dry previously. The average view duration on them has not been very good. So I want to try to increase that by making the videos a little more interesting, maybe by adding my face into it. Maybe that'll make it more interesting so you guys can actually see me talking and see me motioning to different things on the build. And yeah, so leave a comment down below with your thoughts on that. Leave a comment down below if you guys like this build. Leave a like on the video if you like this build for sure. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys next time.